I'll move to approve said ordinance.
I second.
We have a motion to approve the ordinance, second by Mr. Hagberg, motion by Ms. Schreiber.
I tell you, I went back and forth with Mr. Flynn on going over a number of points on this. And the items that were referred to is that when the actual transfer can take place, and that was confusion, I think, on everybody's part. The way the law finally got approved, it said the latter of the term or when they approve. And I think that everybody's intention was it was supposed to be the earlier of the two. But we have to stick with the law the way that it got passed, so that's where the date of the 15th day of May 2017 came in, because the trustees are sworn in on the third Monday of May. So that's where that date came in. The other item was the paragraph that was added saying that it is revoked in its entirety should the city not approve it before the first day of August 2016, that's this year. The reason we came up with that was that, and added that, was that if by that time the city has not agreed to it, we're not sure what happens if we agree to it and the city doesn't at the end of our term. And at that time, we would have no elected officials to continue the township, and it kind of puts us into a bind. So that we said if we came up with that date, the first day to get petitions is somewhere around the 17th through the 20th of August.
They can accept it before that, right?
Yeah, So if the city gets it accepted before then we'll continue. We won't have any scheduled elections for the next time. If not, then it gives us time, and it gives the county clerk time to know that there will be elections for trustees and the supervisor that have to be set up. We're going on 2 weeks, and we just decided, well, we'll go. And the city council does have a meeting that evening.
Oh,
So
there you
that,
go.
that's the drop dead date of everything. Now, realistically, I expect it all to be resolved before then, so that it's just going over. That's part of what we added. It's not just more or less a restatement of what the ILCS is that passed. I think other than that, there were some questions about whether the city closing up business and the township closing up business, and I think that's just something that they'll work out together at that time to say what bills are outstanding and make sure that things are transferred over. And we can all expect that when it does close, there'll be a month or two on the rent that has to be decided before the building's cleared out and changing accounts over and things like that. I do think that it's very important that, especially once the city, if they do pass their ordinance, we really pay attention to what contracts we have and have a consensus that if it's a contract that will be transferred to the city and the city can use it, then I don't think that there's going to be a big issue there. But probably to set up more of a liaison at the city to agree with things before we continue obligating them to contracts that might be costly to taxpayers. And all of this might be moved if the government moves on passing the recommendations of the task force, which would allow townships to abolish themselves. So that there's an option. Do we think that's going to happen in the next year and a half? I don't know.
Well, a judge can do it too, right?
No, right now it says that only the electors can do it, and we can only do it because they wrote that law that applies just to Belleville. And what they're talking about doing in that task force is making it so that any nearly coterminous township can get 5% of the people that voted in the previous governor's election to do a binding referendum and have it transferred to a municipality. So it'll be a lot less cumbersome than I think it was 10% of the entire voters in the county would have to do it.
Every township in the county.
Yeah, so that we can, if it does come up, I'll keep you abreast and we can support that legislation. So, that being said, is there any other discussion?
We do have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, I'll move with a roll call. Ms. Schreiber?
Aye.
Mr. Hubbard?
All right,
Mr. Cordy?
Aye.
Mr. Swarzak?
Aye.
Mr. Hagberg?
Aye.
Mr. Cook, no.
Absolutely. Congratulations, you all just made history.
Well, we took a step in the right direction.
A major step, so thank you all.